Okay, we're just gonna start over because it didn't want to flip back once I flipped the other direction. So I'll show you a few things in my garden here. As you can see, I've started to remove some brush in that, but a lot of things I leave all winter long. This is my oregano. I leave all of this brush. We do the Harvest Festival in the fall, so a lot of times I don't really have time to clear anything out in the fall, but you know what? I'm okay with that. All of this stuff, unless it's disease, we always make sure that we rip out any tomatoes that have gotten sick over the season. That's usually the only thing in my garden that I see disease in, but we always leave all this, and I just take it out in the spring. It's plenty easy to remove, but it gives habitat to not just things like rabbits. You know, they bed up in my asparagus and other things like that all winter long. And then, you know, the benefit of that is they leave manure there, which is fantastic. But the birds use all of this in the spring to build nests. It actually helps protect my plants a little bit from the cold when I leave some of that brush on top. So they're more likely to come back for me. I let the leaves kind of stay in there. And, you know, once this starts growing up, you won't even know the difference. You won't see that. And I do break some of it out of there. But it's coming up all over here, along with some weeds. Even I have weeds in my garden that's, you know, I'll pluck out of there, but I'm not that particular. The thistles I always pull out. But we have some walnut trees that the squirrels have self-seeded all over the place. And those I am going to, and a balloon apparently, I am going to dig these up, and we're going to try to plant them on our land that we have out north. We'll see. I'm not sure. They might die. I'm not good at killing or keeping things alive once they end up in a pot, but maybe it'll work this time. I have some rhubarb over here that's looking beautiful. I plucked the blossoms off of that. You can pick rhubarb way longer than what most people say that you can. Just pull out the blossom stalk when you see it starting to come up, and you can keep picking your rhubarb. I would say pick it I think I've picked it, gosh, probably till the end of July. By then, I usually try to leave it so it can recoup for the next year. This is our grapevine. It's looking beautiful. This is I think it's a 3-year-old vine, maybe 4 now. I probably should have pruned a little bit more off of this side over here, but it is getting big. We used an old clothesline. I have horrible allergies, so we can't hang our clothes up or our sheets or anything, or I will just be terribly sick. So instead I grow plants on it, which is all right with me. But these blossoms, as they start to bud out, are just beautiful. I guess they're not really blossoms. Wants to focus on the tree, but they're just so pretty. I just love them. Anyway, it's a really healthy vine. I have a few of them. I have one on this side. My son has used this table as target practice, so he needs to get this out of the garden with all of his junk. But there's one on this trellis right here as well. But 2 years in a row now, the rabbits have eaten that off at the base, and I failed to protect it again this year. So I think that one's a goner, and I don't think I'm going to replace it again. A lot of times I grow cucumbers on these wagon wheels. You guys have heard me talk about that in different blogs. I think this year I might grow peas on it. I don't know about that for sure yet. This is one of my blueberry bushes. And I think this year I might actually get blueberries. 2 years in a row, the rabbits ate these down to not much of anything. You can see by some of these older dead stalks over here. But it is blossoming out. There's lots of new growth on it, and I'm really excited about that. I mulch with some pine, like rabbit bedding, and then I use holly tone, which is approved for organic gardening. I use that to help acidify the soil. Coffee grounds, I know some people will say you can use that, but honestly, if you're going to use coffee grounds, you need to use them before you brew them, because they lose a lot of their acidity after you brew them. And who wants to waste good coffee grounds in the garden? I would much rather drink those. Brewed coffee grounds are great for nitrogen, but not so much for adding acidity to your soil. This is another raspberry bush. This one did get eaten a little bit this year, but not too bad. It is also blossoming out. I have a lot of perennials in the garden for flowers. This is Nepeta. Highly recommend planting Nepeta. It attracts pollinators really honestly from early summer all the way through fall if you prune it just a little bit in late summer to help it rebloom again. But even if you don't, it'll still blossom. And it's just a gorgeous mound of purple flowers and this kind of soft mint green. Beautiful plant. Fantastic for pollinators. And honestly, they also hibernate a little bit underneath there. A lot of bees actually burrow into your soil for the winter to hibernate underneath there, not necessarily in all the little bee houses and things that we think that they live in, which they do. They live in those as well, but there are so many different types of bees, hundreds of different types of bees, and they all pollinate different things. This right here is tarragon. It's a perennial in our garden. It comes back year after year. And in here is cilantro. Also, coriander. The seed of cilantro is coriander. Love using that in the kitchen all winter long. That's kind of my telltale that it's okay to plant cool weather crops by seed into my garden. When the cilantro starts to pop out of the ground, I know the soil's warmed enough for me to be able to plant that. So that's kind of a fun way to judge soil temp for me without having to actually take the temperature. This is a hydrangea tree. It is not an apple tree or any other sort of edible tree, which I honestly wish I would have planted here, but I just love hydrangeas, and this is such a pretty one. Love it. Over here I have honeyberry. This is new to me, but I've already seen a lot of bumblebees pollinating in here, which is so fun. I was looking for some things that would blossom out really early in our garden, so that the bees would have something to eat early in the season, and I had yet to have something. So we have a couple of those plants. This is where I had my potatoes last year. Didn't really want to have them here, so it's just a really big open space this year. I'm going to plant some more asparagus back here. It's kind of just a walkway there. It doesn't quite get enough sun. It gets plenty of sun, but it's just an awkward place to plant things. So I thought asparagus would be good there. I'm going to put a walkway by the fence, like a 3-foot landscaped, tarped and mulched walkway. And then right adjacent to that, I'm going to put a bunch more asparagus. This is my asparagus bed right now, also covered in mint and strawberries. There's some newer plants. Look at this. My garden is just a mess. There's stuff blowing all over. There's newer asparagus plants on this side that we can't harvest from yet. But this side, I need to come out here and pick by the looks of it, has loads of asparagus ready for us to eat. It's lovely. This right here, you guys, I don't know if you can see in the background right in there, see all that grass? That is the number one reason why I recommend that you lay landscaping fabric or tarp and mulch around the outsides of your raised beds. I actually took out a whole bunch of these raised beds. We used the wood as firewood, but I took out a whole bunch. They used to line the whole outside of this garden. And I didn't protect them from the grass growing up in there. And so these I left because the asparagus was already in them. But the grass I fight every year, and it's getting a little bit better as we've expanded to that side of the yard, because now there isn't grass there. So each year it gets a little bit better, but it's so frustrating. So tarp your beds, people. Otherwise you'll be mad you didn't. I'm going to add some extra soil into these, I think, and maybe kill some of those strawberry plants off. They do produce, but they're a little bit of a nuisance in there. Although they do help keep some of the other weeds down. So maybe that's a good option for you if you need. They're beautiful in the fall too. They turn a beautiful orange and red color. It's a beautiful ground cover that way. So yes, asparagus. My phone is kind of dirty, I'm noticing. So hopefully the video quality here isn't too horrible. All right, I'm gonna walk over this bed. This right here is all dill. Self-seeded dill. Reseeds each year. It's fabulous, you guys. You need dill in your life. It's good. Comes back year after year. And honestly, if you don't want it there anymore, just walk on it. It'll die. Most things will die if you walk on them repetitively. These right here, those are shallots that I left in the ground last year. They were too small to pick, so I just left them there. And they have started to regrow, and they will grow a larger bulb. And then I'll harvest them probably like late spring, really early summer. This is mint. Don't plant mint where you don't want it to take over. And a lupine. Oh, I love those. They're so pretty. I don't really want mint to take over here, but it's kind of in the process. It's not super sunny in this exact spot because there's this huge maple behind me. And so I think that kind of helps control it a little bit. And the dog walks there, and so I think that helps. Other perennials, I have some liatris right there. I love liatris. All right, so I'm gonna walk you this way. This is the path to the side garden where we're gonna build a new garden. And we have right over here, this pile right here. This is really shady over here. It never quite gets sunny enough to grow a lot besides like lettuce and kale. Over here, this is all oregano. I scattered a ton of oregano seed probably mid-summer, hoping to get it to take so that it would keep all that ground from eroding. And it's actually done a really good job. It's coming back all over the place. So that's pretty exciting. Kale. Kale is pretty neat. So if you grow kale, leave it in the fall. This right here is a kale plant that overwintered. And believe it or not, it actually will stay semi-alive all winter long, even without cover. And it has grown back, and I could harvest that for sandwich or some lunch or something. It's not enough for all 6 of us for supper, but soon enough there will be more of it, and I'll plant more. This is some more nepeta, and if you walk out this way, this is where the new garden space will be. I'm in the middle of moving things, and there's that holly tone I'm using to help fertilize some blueberry plants over there. These are all raspberry canes, black raspberries. Things will be moving. I'll be planting some annuals over here as well in this space, making it more beautiful so you're not just staring at black bagged pots. So there you go. That is just a quick tour around our backyard garden. Not a whole lot going on back there right now. I didn't even touch on all the perennials that are up, but don't forget to cover your gardens tonight. It's going to be very cold.